Welcome to video 2. This is the most important video. It's the most important concept in any of this. If this is all you get from this video, then I'm very happy because you can go far with just this. At the end of the last video, we talked about how the all is unchanging. And I'm going to use the all because it has the least amount of baggage and the least amount of stories behind it as compared to all the other terms for this oneness. It's literal, the all, just all to everything. So, yes, the mental universe states that everything that exists is spirit. Matter is just densified spirit. Spirit is just refined matter. All is just thought. And the all, which is the substantial reality underlying all the outward manifestations and appearances, which we know as the universe, all of it is just spirit. It's just thought. It's also undefinable, but considered as a universal living mind. That's what this all is. That's what the mental universe is. A living mind. All is mind embodies the idea that everything that happens has to be a result of a mental state that precedes it. And when you think about that in a commonsensical way, then it's simply about creating things twice. That is, first having a thought or design in your head and then manifesting it into its actual physical form in reality. Everything begins in the mind. How do we know that? Well, let's backtrack a little bit, you guys. The all can't be changed. There's nothing outside of it. It's timeless, it's eternal. The only place it has to create from is the mind. So I'm going to use a hack right now. One of the laws that we're going to learn in one of the following chapters is the law of correspondence. And the law of correspondence is the same thing that says, as above, so below. The importance of that is that we can apply what we know to the unknown. Because if we all come from the same thing, then all things have within it the same principles to some degree or another. So we take ourselves, which is the below part of the as above, so below, and the all is the as above, and we say, how do we create? If you want to learn how it creates, just learn how we create. Well, how do humans create? We can build things, that's one way, right? But the all can't build things because you need tools and you need a place to build it, and the all is not going to use tools because there's no tools outside of it. It is everything. So it can't build that way. 2, we also procreate. We find a lover and we make babies. And we divide ourselves and we create something brand new. This is also super ridiculous because there is no baby mama out there for the universe to procreate with. And it can't divide itself because there's nothing outside of it in which to do the dividing. And then it can't create another one of itself by offspring because then there would be 2 alls. And if there's 2 alls, then the all wouldn't be the all, and that's also just ridiculous. And we know that can't happen because the all is eternal. With that being said, us as humans are left with one more route in which we can create things. We create with our minds. J.R.R. Tolkien, creator of Lord of the Rings, yes, he has books and things, but the story is in here. Lord of the Rings has 2 or 3 different languages with their own alphabets. They have races, multiple races, and each race has its own history. They have weapons and armor and lore and cities and towns. And he created an infinite world, and it took up absolutely no space because he created it in his mind. Now this is what we have to do to say, brilliant! This doesn't go against any of the laws about the nature of the all. It doesn't add to it, it doesn't subtract from it, it doesn't create anything outside of it. None of that. And it also has infinite space to create. So that's how we know that we're in a mental universe. That's how we use one law to learn. That's what wisdom is. Taking what you already know and applying it to something else. The scientist can sit in his chair and learn about the movement of the stars just because of mathematics. He takes something that he knows and applies it to something in the cosmos. So when you hear gurus and shamans and all these people telling you, they say, don't look outside for answers. They say, go inside. Inside. Everything is happening inside. The infinite is inside. And we can see that now. We see that with the structure of reality and the nature of the all. It went inside to create us. And so if we want to create, we also have to go inside. In other words, we are like Hamlet to Shakespeare. But, you guys, we are not Shakespeare. We are not God. When people jump up and say, I am God, they say it to the amusement of the masses and to the sorrow of the sages. That's a large pitfall, is believing that we are God. We are extensions of God. We are a part of the all. We are a part of oneness, but we are not it. We can be God-like, of course, in the same way that landing a helicopter in the middle of the Amazon forest with a native tribe thinks that we are gods in our metal birds that roar and shoot fireballs from the side. We can be like gods, and we are destined to be like gods, and we are destined to create cities and worlds and bodies and minds that are so far ahead of what we are now that we seem to be God itself. And in fact, I believe that's happened throughout history. But we are not it. We're extensions of it. We are limited by the laws that extend from oneness. Therefore, we can't be it, because it is not limited by anything. It, the all, is above all laws, subject to no laws, subject to nothing, subject to no change, and we are. So no, we can't be it, but we are extensions of it, and we do have powers akin to it, one of which being master creators, and also having to do it through the mind. Starting from the mind. It must originate in mind. Focus, concentration in mind condenses spirit. Focus condenses spirit into matter. Concentrated focus condenses spirit into matter. That's how creation happens. That's how we create twice. Now I'm going to give you, now there's two ways to approach this. This is how we apply the law of, one way we apply it, the law of mentalism. There's a bunch more in the book, but I want to keep these videos short. I want to most value, as you can, and conciseness. They can get a little out there. So there's two ways to approach the law of mentality that we can use in our day-to-day lives. The first is not letting circumstances define who we are. That's the first part. And the second part is that the universe will then mirror our old selves and our new selves. This is how we approach that. Most people say, I'm not where I am because I don't have this. I'm not tall enough, that's why I don't have a girlfriend. I'm not smart enough, that's why I don't have money. We have these stories. What these stories are saying are that circumstances dictate our well-being. In other words, they are saying the outside world is determining who I am. And this is true and it's not true. Because we've already shown that what dictates the most is the internal world, is thought. It originates inside. We are influenced by outside circumstances, absolutely. But it is not the strongest thing. The strongest thing is the mind. You see, Bruce Lee said, you must be like water. You pour water on the teapot, it becomes the teapot. You pour water in the cup, it becomes like the cup. Water can flow or it can crash. Be like water, my friend. That's my Bruce Lee impression, but it's true. You see, the mind is formless. Pure potential, which we come from, is formless. And we must be formless. Reality is fluid. It takes on many forms and many shapes, and we must be fluid to match that. We cannot be so rigid. We are not the all. We are not stationary. We have to flow in and out. We have rhythm within us. We have polarity in us. We have variation with us. We are subject to all the change. But we have the power to dictate that change. We have the power to dictate that change, and we do it with the mind. We change from saying I am dictated by circumstances to I am dictated by me. Because you're correct either way. You are correct, and you do have good reasons why you're dictated by your circumstances. I'll buy that. I'll buy that. But I don't buy it as truth. I buy it as half-truth. Because you're just playing the role of the pawn, which is real. But I'm trying to get you to play the role of the chess player, which is also just as real, but a lot more fun. Now, once you make that change, what's going to happen is you're going to be, the universe is going to test you. In a way to say, are you sure? Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but it happens to me all the time. Every time I make a decision for something to happen, if I want to change my diet, if I want to go on a trip, if I want to plan something big, the opposite just shoots up everywhere. People are constantly trying to destroy your diet. You have one big trip booked, all of a sudden there's like 3 or 4 other cool things going on at the same exact time. Look, guys, if the universe didn't mirror you, if the universe didn't challenge you when you change your mindset, when you make a decision, your decisions wouldn't mean anything. In other words, if I put you on a deserted island, you couldn't come back after 10 years and boast about being sugar-free, because you never had the opportunity to eat sugar in the first place. You see what I'm saying? If you're not tested for something, it doesn't mean anything. You can't be courageous if there's no fear present, in other words. There's no courage without fear, right? So that's what's happening. When the mental universe means you have to dictate your world as you decide it and not let the world dictate you. That's the first step. You say, to hell with circumstances, I create my own reality. That's what Bruce Lee said. To hell with circumstances, I create my own reality. And then reality is going to say, oh yeah, oh really? Well, check out all these other things. And let's bring in the exact opposite. Let's see if Keith really means what he means. Let's see if this is true. Let's see if this is real. Prove it. You want a new lifestyle? Prove it. Believe. It's testing you. It's constantly testing you. It's how you grow, you guys. It's how you grow. It's why rhythm exists. It's why opposites exist. It's why low points exist. Because you got to scramble to the top. And through that scramble, that's where you learn. That's where the growth happens. That's where the process happens. So you can't just say, I want to imagine myself at the top and just appear there, because there's no lesson in there. There's no growth. There's no evolution. So this is what happens. You make a decision for a change, and that decision is made with your thought. And then in order for the outside world to change in reciprocation to that, you will be tested. The universe will show you exact opposite of what you want to do, and you will have to make a choice. Do I want the new me, or do I want the old me? And you want that choice because that choice is what gives you growth. It's what builds you as a person. It is not a bad thing. It is a necessity. It has to happen. And that's the law of mentality. To recap, we are existing in the mind of an infinite, all-pervading, conscious entity. Its spirit invades and pervades everything. We all exist. We are just lenses. We're just apertures in which that oneness can look at itself, can look at its other creations. And because that thing operates with mind, us being extensions of that thing must also operate in mind if we want to be true creators. And then once you make that decision to operate from the mind, once you make a decision to believe in something that isn't even there yet because it hasn't been created yet, because that's just the way things work. We have to believe in things that aren't there yet. That's why operating from mind is so difficult, because the hardest thing for humans to do is to believe in something that's not there. And that's what you're doing by creating with your mind. Otherwise, it wouldn't be creating at all. It's very hard to us to believe in something that we don't see and to not believe something that we do see. That's the conundrum. That's the pickle that we have to get around. That I'm teaching you how to get around with this, because saying circumstances dictate you is saying. People tell me all the time when I work with people individually. They say, Keith, but I see the world this way. How is that not true? And I don't have much of an argument for that, because it is true for them. It is reasonable of them to believe that the world is as it is, because, well, it is as it is. It's very reasonable, but we have to be unreasonable, you guys. This is being creators is about being unreasonable. It's about breaking down paradigms. It's about rearranging the structure of the world. But we can only do that, again, by starting with a thought. And by starting with a thought is by starting with something that doesn't exist in the world yet. So yes, it's very hard to hold a thought and believe in a thought that you don't even see in the world, but thought precedes all creation. So we have to. We have to believe in that thing that doesn't exist yet. It's the only way. It's the only way. It's hard, it's difficult. Like I said, it's difficult to see the world as it is and say that that's not real. But that's exactly what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to look at the world and say, I know what I see, but that's not real. That is subject to change. We're extensions from Source, you guys. Source, oneness, the all, that is the only unchanging thing. Everything outside of it is a dream. It's all subject to change. The question is the change going to be dictated by you, or are you going to be dictated by the change? That's what separates creators from the rest of the flock. So, stay tuned. Second video is going to be coming to you real shortly. Thanks for being here, you guys. I'll see you soon. I'll see you soon.